Hello, my name is Francis Fox, and I am here totally aligned with my mission, which is to bring extra information from the other dimensions so that we can make better decisions and we can live with less suffering, less pain, less anguish. It has been said that the Buddha said that the basis for human misery is ignorance, and ignorance is the lack of information. Maybe this is why it's so important that the intelligence community be anchored in truth and have the intention of the well being of the people that they're supposed to be taking care of, because they are in charge. Intelligence is information. I worked for intelligence for decades. I'm an information expert from other dimensions. So, having clean information, having full information that's not biased is critical always. And it's interesting because when I did the map of the United States at 6:04, Patel had already been confirmed, which, we've all being on a razor edge, those of us that supported him that are in vulnerable positions. He got in. This is good. The choice was made, knowing that it's going to be very difficult uh, because of all the people that did not have sufficient supervision, uh, who were able to operate in the dark. So I'm going to tell you a story which I've said before, but I'm going to say it again because this is so important that we all hear this, that we all understand it, and we all know it. And basically, this is an information that all the religions have, but very esoteric, very much at their core. It's not what is, it's esoteric information hidden from the masses. Exoteric information is what we are given. I guess governments have that too, but they don't call it esoteric. They just call it secret, national security. So, and I've said this story before, but this is very important because we're at a time that the Mayans talked about, that when the ugly stuff within us, and now we're talking about within the United States, when it comes up, that can be what takes us down. The revelations of the negativity and of the darkness, not the darkness, but the revelations, and within the individual people, not the people that we can point the finger at them, but the people that are looking at themselves and going, oh my God. Here's the story. And many of you that are my longtime followers have heard this, but you need to hear it again. So you might want to breathe as I'm saying it, because I'm going to say the story anyway. Years ago, I had a person that I worked with, and she asked me if I would please take care of her boyfriend. And I said, absolutely no problem. We had an appointment. And he said to me, this is not my choice, this appointment. I said, yes, I know that, but that's okay. Um, we could just sit here and chat if you want. He said, no, no, go ahead and do your thing. And I said, well, what do you want to know? He said, I don't know. I said, okay, so let's find out the most important thing that you need to know about yourself. Okay. He said, okay. He was a nice guy. And I said, I see you in the time of Lemuria, which is supposedly the first civilization on planet Earth. It was like the Garden of Eden. Everything was natural. You're hungry. You reached out and you pulled fruit from the tree. And he lived in Lemuria. And one night, an angel came to him and said, we need you. And he said, okay, what do you need? I'll do it. He said, human beings need your help. There's a darkness that has come over the planet. And he said, okay, what do I do? Tell me, and I'll do it. And they said, it's not easy. And he said, I'll do it. They said, this darkness is very powerful, and many people are not able to deal with it. We need people that will take on this darkness. And he said, okay, I'll do it. And they said, but there's a problem. When you take it on, you will not remember that you volunteered to take on the darkness. It will be very difficult. And he went, okay, I'll do it. What did that mean? It means that he went through incarnations, lifetimes, in which he played the bad guy, the murderer, the rapist, the thief, whatever, because most human beings aren't strong enough to carry that darkness. And he did not remember when he was playing out that darkness in order to help the weaker human beings. So he thought that he was dark. So I shared the story, and he looked at me and he said, wow. He said, that kind of explains a lot. He said, because I think I'm a really, really, really good person, but I'm always having trouble with the law. And his girlfriend had said he always had one foot in jail. And she also said he was a really good person. So he volunteered to play out darkness throughout his history because the darkness landed on the planet on everyone. But too many humans were not strong enough to carry it. They would have been destroyed. What does that have to do with today? It's the same thing today. Our enemies, my enemies, your enemies, the enemies of the United States, the people that are human that are doing dark things are actually more evolved than those of us that are running around, oh my God, look what was done to me. I'm a victim. And that's kind of hard to accept. And yet, in all the religions, at the deepest core, they know that. In Buddhism, they know that in Tantric Buddhism. The masters of Tantric Buddhism can be some pretty bad boys, and they are totally honored as incredibly evolved human beings that know how to deal with darkness in addition to light. So we have a time in which, thank God, Trump and his team are confronting a darkness that was going to take the country down. Absolutely. But we have to remember, or we need to understand, that these bad actions, incredible amount of money stolen right in front of us, is kind of like a slap in the face. Why wasn't this realized before? Well, no, 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 no. Why wasn't it realized before? We've been asleep, which is the big issue. When they say woke, we're not talking about that woke. We have been asleep to what human beings are, what our consciousness is, what light is, what dark is. We've been asleep to the fact that our big enemy is not the human being that's behaving poorly. Okay? It's an energy that landed on the planet and on all human beings. And those of us that are stronger are the ones that are carrying it out and acting it out. Our real enemies are galactic. Which brings me to the fact that I'm going to show you the map of the United States. And I was going to sketch Ukraine. And I decided not to. Because the issues in Ukraine have to do with off-planet. As I have said before, the Mantrista group, we were getting together a couple years ago and clearing countries, not getting involved in politics, clearing the imbalance of elements, and always it was an extra fire. And in Ukraine, we could not make a dent on the fire. It was very weird. And I finally went, okay. And my master said, you need to get out of there. You won't make a difference. This is not what you think it is. So I said, we're not doing this. There's something going on there that is above and beyond the players, Trump and Zelensky, or however you pronounce his name. There's something beyond that. And if we cannot, I'm not talking about forgive and forget. That's not what I'm saying right now. You have to identify who the real enemy is, which doesn't mean you pat on the shoulder the guys that are behaving poorly. You need to find out what's going on. You need to know what's going on, because if not, it'll never end. We couldn't make any difference in terms of balancing the elements in Ukraine when we tried to put out the fire, which was supposedly the basis for the war. I mean, that's what it is traditionally, and that was not the issue. So if we hadn't understood that, we would have, I don't know, continued to work there. Who knows? We need to identify causal And causal is not always what and who we think that it is. And I think that needs to be looked at in Ukraine. And the whole issue of them looking at the mineral rights and all the rest of that is something that obviously needs to continue and needs to be understood. I find it fascinating that the themes of the movie Star Wars are the ones that are playing out openly now. And always remembering that Darth Vader almost turned over the entire galaxy to darkness because he lost his mother when he was a child. And his grief and rage was never taken care of. And we almost all got turned over to dark. Those issues are playing out today. So getting to root cause is very important. So I did not sketch Ukraine because I'm not sure that anybody is ready to listen to that. And I'm not sure I'm ready to get into that either. Okay, I'm just going to be basking in the glory of the fact that the FBI now has somebody in charge who actually is not going to be part of the bad guys, but is going to be going after them. This is a good thing, even though it's going to get a little bit messy. We all know that. I used to think that my handler and all the guys that I used to have to deal with, that I worked with as a mind control victim, that they were all CIA, because CIA, they call them the cowboys of the intelligence community. No, they were all FBI, which means that half of Miami receives checks from the FBI, and they're not going to be getting them anymore. So that little housing crisis, the little dip may happen. Here's the map of the United States. Okay. The Merkaba, the galactic ship, is there, very strong. We have a lot of black magic in California. What the bottom line there is really not the people and the politicians. There's something else much deeper going on. Here we have Washington and New York, controlled rage. I did this at 6:04. And then our heart is very tight in the center. And then we had all these things. My nails are not done, okay? Because I haven't been able to lose my house. In a few minutes, I'll tell you about what happened this morning at 11. So you have these green lines going down. And I thought, oh God, what is that? And then you have this green banner at the bottom. And what we're doing is, here it says, the truth was anchored today. So here we go again with Trump doing something that shakes everything up, and yet in the other dimensions, it's actually stabilizing, because we are going to be dealing with the truth. Now, one of the truths is that one of the people that was delaying this, Patel, I have a problem with names because I have multiple mind control programs for me not to remember the names of people or the faces. A lot of times when I see people actually in the street, or when I see, I see the face blurred out. Like when you're sending a photograph and you don't want them to see the face of certain people, and you blur it out with some kind of program. I actually see them like that. So when you notice me stumbling with people's names, that is what is going on. I'm better. So we have, when Trump, the day that they tried to kill Trump, that it nicked his ear, was tremendously stabilizing for the United States. The fact that he stood up again with his fist. What happened today with people standing up and saying no more, having to do with the intelligence community, that honestly, totally out of control. Totally out of control. That has anchored the United States at a time when the whole world is literally trembling, and supposedly we will split into 2 or 3 different planets. That's been said for decades, hundreds of years, because there's such different frequencies on the planet. There's a lot of people that woke up to the truth. We're waking up to the truth of the power structure in the United States. And we're going to feel like we are going to feel like really dumb when we see how much has been done right in front of us. Even today, there's somebody that was holding up this hearing that wouldn't stop talking, and I'm not going to say the name. That person was offered between $100 and $120,000 if she would simply continue to talk and continue to obstruct Patel's nomination. And she requested that they not deposit that in her accounts until like 8 weeks from now, so that they couldn't tie it to what she was doing. She was going to retire anyway. I don't need to say the name. It's not necessary. The point of the matter is that there's still shenanigans going on, which I'm assuming there always is. Kind of hard to do the business of the country if everybody's busy positioning themselves having to do with money. That's not what they're supposed to be doing there. So, what happened today was very good for the country. Even if you don't agree with Trump, your country is going to be more stable because the truth was anchored. And it could be a bit of a mess because I'm sure there will be some fighting back, but at least core, we will be stabilized. And I don't really have anything else that I need to say today because I am sitting here wondering. Today at around 11 o'clock, and I knew something was going to happen. Somebody knocked at my door. You don't do that. This is a closed community. You don't knock on people's doors. You don't get into the computer. So I did not open the door. And I just opened a window a little bit. And he said, "Oh, I'm looking for Claudia. She called." And he had a little thing here that said Jesus. Claudia doesn't do Jesus. Okay, guys? So I said, "You know what? You need to get out of the community. Somebody's going to call the police." There's going to be a lot of bad guys. That was not a coincidence. And if you are psychic, you could check them out. And you should be more psychic if you've been following me because I have the power of induction, which means that when you're in my energy field, whether it's via a chat, on the phone, your psychic abilities are augmenting. And I didn't say this, the scientists did when I was a child. So there's still going to be a lot of scrambling. And I don't know what that's going to look like, except that this anchoring is going to help. It's like a tree with very deep roots. You can have a hurricane, you can have this, you have high winds, but that tree has deep roots. Now, if you have a tree with deep roots that's also flexible, it has less of a chance of breaking. So maybe we need a little bit of flexibility here. I have no idea. I have no opinions on that. I'm very happy Patel got in, and we move forward. So let's go ahead and do a mantra, and then I think I've talked so much in the last several days, and right now I'm just kind of trying to figure out where I'm going from here. When is it going to be safe enough for me to be able to buy a house again? And when is it that I'm going to be able to actually open up an office? Obviously, online, having to do with the type of consulting I want to do. But I'm going to have to wait a little bit and see what's going on with the bad guys. They're going to release the Jeffrey Epstein list. What they need to do is I don't actually know what they need to do. They need to just get it out there. And they need to get out the Kennedy stuff and the other two assassinations. And we need to look at the whole thing with sex. Because both of those things, the sex trafficking, okay, the Epstein list, the bottom line on it is sex. The intelligence community in this country they are sick sexually. Sick. I'm talking dark, sick. We need to find out what that's all about because the whole sex thing is the thing that also is causing the population collapse. I don't really care about other people's opinion about that. In order to have babies, you have to have sex. And you can do the in vitro, the IV, whatever. That's really iffy. And I think the consequences of that in terms of consciousness need to be looked into. And by the way, I would be very glad to look into that to see what needs to be done to ensure that the consciousness of these children is protected. I worked with a family that had twins, and they were IVF, I don't really know the language. It was very interesting because the children, they were twins, they would they would exchange bodies. In other words, the spirit of one of the twins would use the body of the other twin, and this twin would either be floating around his spirit body or using that body. So when you were twins, so here's a twin, and you would assume that's the twin with their spirit obviously inside of it. And then you have the other twin, and obviously with its spirit. But you could be working with this twin, the physical body, and this twin's spirit could be the one that's in there. That's called a possession issue throughout history. And you're not supposed to do that. You're just not supposed to do that. So there's a lot of issues with that should be looked at in order to put up safety nets and in order to kind of understand that. But we're not going to go into that. We're going to go into a mantra now. But the whole thing of sex, we need to get the bottom line of sex. And the bottom line of sex is orgasm. And what is the bottom line of orgasm? It's spiritual ecstasy, connection to God. So everybody is sick when it comes to connecting to God. Interesting. It has to be looked at because it is destroying this country. The Epstein thing, the sex trafficking, the child trafficking. Okay, let's do a mantra. And you guys like the mantrista music, which was the one with the feet and the drums. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm trying to figure out the words of the mantra. Let's get the music up and I'll figure out the words. Remember that you repeat the words in silence and you expel through your mouth. And let's go ahead and put up the white dress and look at the white dress and see how shiny it is, how white, how gold. And if it's not white and gold, then your frequency is very low. And you need to get into nature and you need to do stuff to get your frequency up because the law of attraction right now, because we have 1 foot in the golden age, if you see that white and gold, you're going to be able to see gold in your life because that dress was constructed white and gold. If you're seeing blue and black, then you're not able to see the gold in your life because that dress was constructed in white and gold. That photograph is white and gold, but you're not able to see it. And being too tired can be part of the issue. So let's go ahead with the fun music. Just here. And let's go ahead with this one. Okay. You looked at the dress? Does it look any? Oh, yeah, it has a lot more pink now, especially for me on the right hip, on the left hip. Ah, okay. So I'm going to give you now a healing on the back of your heart chakra. So if you take your breath to the back of your heart chakra, somebody here is saying that a year ago I said there would be a lot of plane accidents. A year ago, I don't remember. There was another one right now, apparently. Uh, so go ahead and breathe into the back of your heart chakra. Actually, it looks really good. Dang it, it looks really good. It looks really good. Normally, there's dark stuff there, there's things that are tied up, there's things that are stuffed there, because everything is channels of energy in your body, your veins, your arteries, the ducts between organs. Everything is channels of energy. Your skin has to breathe, there's channels there. Um, and when they stop, when there's a lack of flow in all those channels, is the aging process. So in the back of the heart, there's always something stuffed in there or tied around there for you not to have that free flowing energy. Well, there's something there, but it's a good color. It's pink and white. So I'm going to open that up. And so just keep taking your breath there. I don't know if you could tell the difference when I gave the healing yesterday. Okay, I opened it up. Could you feel it? Like, poof, all of a sudden, it's like something let go. And you'll find yourself breathing easier. Anyway, I'm going to cut this short. I know I'm normally a lot longer, but longer is not necessarily better. And I'm tired. Okay, so let's go ahead and enjoy the triumph of truth in the United States. And I have to say again, it's Donald Trump. And one day I'll go back to the story of the past life that I did about him on TV, in which I ended up being wrong because he did not duplicate that past life. He did what we're supposed to do, which is not repeat what didn't work. So when I see astrological reads about him, I don't worry because he has the strength to overcome his past. We all do, but it does require focus and it requires clear intention. You can't be all over the place and you can't be figuring out what it is that's going to work and what you should do and where you're going to be better positioned. No, you have to figure out what you want and then do that vector that Elon Musk talks about and just go for it. Vitalize that. Even at the same time, you have a mediocre job, you're not happy where you're at, but you have your intention, that vector, and that vector will take you where it is that you intend on going. Okay? Thank you for joining me. Bye.